Alright, so Mundo versus Garen is actually not a bad matchup for Mundo. It's not great, but obviously Mundo doesn't have that many great matchups per se. But again, it's totally a winnable or at least go evenable matchup. And the thing to realize is that you have to abuse your new buffed Q against Garen, because if you look at his summoner spells, he's got Ignite, Ghost, and 78 AD with no AD items. He has a Doran shield and somehow he has 78 attack damage versus our ADC with Doran's blade and 77 attack damage. So basically, he has more AD than our ADC, even though his starting item was D shield. So obviously, he's looking for cheese and aggression, especially with the double combat summoners. You're just not going to be able to compete with that, not to mention his passive. So the big thing here is to be smart and level up your Q, then your E, then skip your Burning Agony, because your Burning Agony does not do shit against Garen. You cannot trade against him, because even if it looks like it's a decent trade, hit point value wise, you're not going to be on the winning end of that because he's going to regen up those hit points a lot faster than you ever will. So no matter what, even if you win the trade, you're still on the losing end of it. And the big thing to understand here is that he has just brought the lane to a perfect spot to freeze for you. It's pushing in, you have a huge minion wave coming in, and it's already outnumbering your minion wave. If you spent some time trying to equalize the wave, spamming your cleavers back and back to try to equalize the wave, you could freeze it here, which is perfect. If you freeze it along this line at the like the bottom of this arrow, it's just out of tower range, and then you basically get freedom to do whatever you want with the minion wave, while Garen has very little freedom to actually attack you and fight you over it. So that's one way you could have salvaged the lane. The other way is not going for Spectre's Cowl. I know Spirit Visage synergizes with your ult really well, but Garen does almost 95% physical damage. He's got 0.8 AD ratio plus 45 on his E, and he's got like 200 something on his Q. Like he does a lot of attack damage, and it's only going to get worse as time goes on and you fall further behind. So getting a Spectre's Cowl just guarantees you're going to fall even further behind, especially since you're rushing Spirit Visage first item. Rather, it'd be better if you had spent that money on keeping that Ruby Crystal, getting a Warden's Mail, and then upgrading that Ruby's Crystal into Giant's Belt. And then you can either sit on that Warden's Mail and upgrade the Giant's Belt into a Sunfire, or just upgrade straight up to a Randuin's Omen. Once you get some armor, Garen becomes a lot easier to deal with, especially since he's building Black Cleaver. Black Cleaver is a very aggressive item. It's fairly squishy. It's not giving him many resists, but what he is doing is he is demolishing the amount of armor you have. So you have 70 armor, but with Black Cleaver procs up on that, you have like 40 something. Like you're as squishy as an ADC at this point, and you're just not going to be able to keep up in the lane. The second you buy the Spectre's Cowl, you've pretty much given up the lane against Garen. All right. So for our first team fight of note is mid lane. We take the tower mid lane, and then we just don't have clear calls. Yeah, I see a hook on Lucian and I take it. Alright. And this is actually pretty good. We blow Malphite's ult for almost nothing. He does almost no damage and he's squishy. So Malphite goes from 100 to 0. Oh, nearly instantly. And then we bait out Lucian's heal and Sona's heal. So now it's a 4v5 with Martinez here. And Sona has just whiffed her ulti. And we're free to either re-engage or disengage. But somebody needs to say something, because right after this happens, we get bored, Martinez walks off, and then Brian walks off. So now it's a 3v4, and they know this. Now, what Mike's done is he's salvaged this 3v4 for us by putting down one hell of a wall stun and immediately deleting Sona. With the deletion of Sona, Garen's not at that point yet where he can completely fuck us. So I'm able to peel off Garen, and we're able to disengage. But we're low. And we just want to get out of here. Jinx has thrown down the chompers, and we're just running. And Martinez shields back up, and initially decides to re-engage. He initially decides to re-engage, and then comes back out and decides not to disengage. But then, that has baited Brian in to engage. So Brian's going to engage, and again, we get lucky for a second time with this engage, and we zero out Lucian. So basically, we've engaged, nearly zeroed out Malphite, disengaged, engaged, nearly zeroed out Sona, disengaged, engaged, zeroed out Lucian, disengaged. We've gotten really, really lucky. And now Mike just wants to leave. Hong, I believe, wants to, yeah, Hong's trying to leave. And Martinez was trying to leave, but now he sees that we're trying to fight again. Like, we are just disorganized. We're fighting at like 50% capability with the 4 people here. So it might as well have been a 2v3 than a 4v3. Just because none of us are on the same page. No one's making the calls. No one's making sure that the team is ready to do what we need to do. And this baits in Hong and kills him, as well as Brian and Martinez. Like, either we need to make the call to go